what is leadership? It's influence, because you can't make anybody do anything. It's impossible. And so therefore you need to start doing things in a way that would influence people to act. Hey, gang, here we are once again. This is Stand Tall Steve, and we have with me
Megan Dede.
That's right. We got Megan and Steve on the Stand Tall Leadership Show, and we're excited to have you guys back. Our focus for today, before we get to the focus, we got to talk about what just happened with you, Meg. What just happened with you and your son at the game. Tell me about it.
Oh my gosh. So I'm kind of coming off a high right now. We were playing a championship traveling basketball team, and they went into overtime, 2 minutes, tied up the game, and then it was sudden death, and we won by one point. So we took first place.
By a foul shot. Man.
Yeah.
Now, was that your son that made the foul shot or no?
No, it was one of his friends. Yeah.
Okay, one of his friends. Now you're in Wyoming, so you drove like 8 hours to get to this game, right? Or what?
No, we actually have basketball here in Wyoming, so we just, we just went to the camplex.
Okay, it was at the campfire. Okay, cool. That's what it is. But yeah, it's funny because you were sending me snaps of what was going on, and it's like, oh, it's overtime. Oh my gosh, yeah. So
I know.
That's cool.
I'm screaming in the background like that crazy mom in the stand.
Yeah, that's it. Well, that's the job. That's the job. That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. I was there too. I was there before too. My son, I coached my son in basketball from 3rd grade all the way through 8th grade. And then 8th grade, we made it to the championship and we won the championship. It's like, and then he was done. He didn't play anymore. Like at high school, he was done. But he went out on top. We went out on top. So we were pretty excited about that. It was some good stuff. Pretty good.
One difference is that my son probably doesn't have the height that yours did. So we're more,
it takes
a little more to get the ball in the air.
Yeah, my son, he was in 8th grade. I think he was about 6 foot. Yeah.
We're rocking like 5'3".
Maybe 5'11". Yeah, he's like 6'5" now. So, and he's in college. But yeah, he was a big guy. So yeah, totally different, but good, exciting. So we have a focus today for the Stand Tall Leadership Show. What is the focus we got, Meg? What's the goal? What's our focus?
Our focus today is going to be all about influence.
Influence. That's right. Your influence. Now, this is the 2-part series. We were doing integrity, which was the last episode, and this one is influence. We're doing the I words here, I guess. No, but I think it's really important that when we're talking about influence, we're also talking about integrity. And that's why last time that we were talking, and last time I was in Hawaii, we had a great session there and everything. That was cool. But I think influence is the other side of integrity. What are your thoughts about influence, Meg? How are you thinking about it when we're bringing up influence from the teacher's perspective?
Yeah, well, actually, when we ended integrity, and then you're like, our next one's going to be about influence, I was like, how are these two work without each other, to be honest with you? I couldn't kind of separate the two. They just kind of go hand in hand. So I'm kind of excited to dig into that tonight about how they kind of have to be together. But I got to thinking, Steve, a little bit about not only influencing as a classroom teacher, but like our influence at home with your family, influence with a leadership role. And so I kind of want to take our direction towards kind of starting with you, honestly, about you are an international speaker, right? You go throughout the year, you see districts and schools and educators. And then on top of that, you have these assemblies with all of these kids. And the amount of influence and impact that you have on not only the educators that you are trying to get this message to, but also then those students and how that influence carries on. I'm kind of wondering, how do you do that? How do you separate influence? Do you think about that as you go in? What does that look like?
Yeah, that's actually just a good way of thinking about it. Actually, that is, yes, I think about that specifically. You know, a lot of times when I've gone out and I've spoken, or even I talk to other people who speak, or people who have heard me or want to come and talk to me and talk about speaking and, you know, what they want to do, they say, oh man, it's just a talent you have. Oh, you're just going and you're just being yourself. No, this is strategic. This is strategic. Just like when you're a classroom teacher, just like you're a building level administrator, district level administrator, a lot of them, I have them say, well, I'm just myself. No, you need to be strategic in your level of influence, because that's what leadership is. If anybody ever asks, what is leadership? They could say all kinds of things. It's making good decisions, it's communication. Yes, blah, blah, blah. It's influence. Because you can't make anybody do anything. It's impossible. I can't jump into it. Talk about parents. I can't jump into my kid's body and make them do something. You can influence them. You can persuade them. You can do a lot of other things, but that's what leadership is. So back to what you're saying, when I go out and I'm speaking and I'm training and consulting and everything like that, I'm going in very specifically in my mind, knowing that I'm a person that they're going to be listening to, and that my level of influence needs to be heightened so that it encourages them to act. Because that's what influence really is. It is the actions that you do that encourages other people to act. That's leadership. In leadership, you have your visions, you have your mission, your values. And so therefore you need to start doing things in a way that would influence people to act, to do things in a certain way. So I have a very detailed message, and you know my message as it relates to culture, climate, leadership development, idea development. I am very strategic in my processes so that when I leave there, the teachers, the administrators, the people, the students are going to act on it when I leave. That's exactly what the purpose is.
So we kind of briefly talked a little bit about this quote, and I kind of threw you for a loop a little bit, that you don't always have to be a leader to be an influencer.
That's the quote. Say it again.
You don't always have to be a leader to be an influencer.
But you have to be an influencer to be a leader. That's exactly the other side of that quote that I feel. You don't have to be a leader to be an influencer. You don't. As far as the title of leadership goes, you don't. But you have to have influence in order to be a leader. Because if you don't have influence as a leader, you're not a leader. A leader means that people are following you. People you're guiding them. You're showing them what to do. You're directing them. Even if you're a boss, where do this, do that, the other. All right. That's where you're just telling people what to do. But to be a true leader, you have to have influence. Although you don't have to be a leader to be influential.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, because what do we got on, what's social media all about? Right? Exactly. A whole bunch of what? Influencers.
Yes. You think, okay, let's hop into social media. You think there are different places in social media for different influencers, right? So as an educator in the classroom, I follow other teachers on Instagram, on TikTok. I look for ideas, fun games, but then I also have a personal side where, maybe what's the best clothing, whatever, clothing, workout routine, whatever that is. And so I think that also is huge, is, on social media, you have to almost seek out what influential people that fits you best and what brings out, the good. You're not going to keep following the people that are doing you a disservice to it. So I think influence, let's talk about.
I would agree with that, but then there's a difference. There's people that are influencers, and there are people who have good ideas. Some people, they're on Instagram, they're on whatever, and they're just, or YouTube, they're just a video Pinterest. That's really all they are. You know what I mean? They're giving you some good ideas. Okay, give me a good idea. You influenced me on how to bake a baked potato and pull it out better. You didn't influence me to do that. You gave me a good idea.
Truth.
Whereas an influencer, I feel, is somebody who gives you a concept, gives you an idea, gives you a deeper understanding, a little bit of a paradigm shift so that you can alter your behavior. It's different when you alter your behavior as opposed to getting a good idea on a lesson or a good idea on like what you do. When you're going in and you're speaking to teachers and you're talking with educators, you are giving them a concept, a deeper understanding of instruction, curriculum, and the implementation of such.
Right.
It's one thing if you come in and give a bunch of ideas, like here, do this, that, and the other, as opposed to shifting their mindset a little bit.
And I think that Integrated was born because we were influencing our students in the classroom, right? And they're positively. So we have found in the classroom, you have to influence 20 different pathways, 20 different minds, right? Everybody's personality is different. How are you going to influence them the moment that they show up to school? What is my job? So the child shows up late to school, right? Did they have anything to do with that? I don't know. The parents couldn't get them there. What's the first thing that you're going to do to influence that child? Are you going to reprimand them and say, why weren't you here on time? You've missed so much. Or are you going to switch that and say, I'm so glad you're here today. I can't wait to get started with you. And then in turn, back to that integrity. So it's a together. How do you do that?
Yeah. And here's the thing, I got to back up to what you were saying as far as in the classroom, you're influencing your students. Again, I'm sure what you're doing is strategic. It is, and when it is strategic, you're getting a better outcome because you're being strategic about it. Now, Absolutely. There are many teachers that have built up a plethora of strategies and ideas. But all those strategies, ideas, and things that they have has been developed because you have a philosophy, you have a belief, you have an understanding, and therefore you are not trying to coerce, or you're not trying to hurt or just manipulate the students. You're trying to influence them in a better way. Now, you had a question in there before that, but I lost it. What were you talking about? Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but
you hate when it happens? I know I got I got on that and I ran with it. Yeah.
That's good though. But you're back to what you're saying about you can't hop in your kids' bodies and make them do something. It has to be the act. You want them to act upon your influence. That's exactly what it is. Very purposeful. And leadership and in the classroom are what our influence is. We want students to act upon the influence that we're trying to bring to the classroom. It's very purposeful.
Yeah, exactly. And in one way, yes, you're the teacher. And for our respectable students, you're the adult, they're the child. I'm going to listen to what you say. Okay. But it goes much further. Well, to some degree, you got some kids. This is the this is post-pandemic kids, so it's not as easy. But there's a little bit of that. Even in a job, you have a teacher. Okay, you're the principal. I'll do what you tell me to do. But now we're getting all into the compliance versus commitment concept. I'm just being compliant, doing what you're saying, as opposed to being committed to what you're saying. Now, the strength of influence revolves around relationship. That's the ultimate strength of influence, is developing amazing relationships. Now, for those of you who are watching us, I'm going to share a screen with you. I'm going to show you. I want you to see this, okay? Here it is. So I'm going to read it out for those who are listening. I love this. All right. I got this online. For those who are seeing it, you can see the little link down at the bottom. But it says, a crucial aspect of influence is the emotional connection you make with people. True influence involves building trust and relationship, getting those people to align their views and values with your own for long-term gain. That's a big one right there, right? I'll read it again. True influence involves building trust and relationship, getting those people to align their views and values with your own for long-term gain. Short-term change doesn't rely as much upon emotional connection. Instead, it uses other tactics like reasoning, manipulation, and coercion. So if you're going in and you're trying to say that you're going to influence someone by reasoning with them, by using manipulation, coercion, or the boss mentality, do it because I say so, that's not influence. That's just short-term gain. They'll do it, but you haven't developed the trust and relationship necessary to take you to that next level, to have that true level of influence. And if you have that level of relationship, that goes right back to what we're talking before, which is
integrity and
integrity. All right. That's why this is together, y'all. This is why it's together. We have it together.
Okay, so
you're thinking. I can see it. You're looking up into the corner. You got something's brewing.
Well, if you want a long term, okay, so let's take Kara and I's way of delivering content, right? Okay. We have literally figured out the way to make it better. We love coming into the classroom. Student growth is happening. Teacher effectiveness is happening. Mm-hmm. And so we have had to influence other educators on how that works best and mm-hmm. why it's so important. And I cannot stress enough how important it is for that relationship to be built first. You have to trust that person, mm-hmm. that what you're giving them, this mind-changing idea, mm-hmm. in order for them to take it and run with it, because it's a leap. It's a leap of faith.
It is.
So yeah. In your leadership role, or in your classroom role, or you in your family role, whatever that may be, what are some, I don't know, you always have steps, Steve. Like, these are the things you need to think about when it comes to influence. You have some steps?
I don't, because I don't have steps because it again, it does go back to that relationship piece. Now, if you want to talk about developing great relationships, let's go back to integrity. And I talked about the 4 ways to protect your integrity, right? Keep your promises, speak out for what you believe in, be fair, and do what you say you're going to do. So those are your steps. Your steps are basically your integrity set. Now, here's the thing. You cannot create integrity quickly. You cannot create integrity quickly, right? If you're going into a school, you're going in as a leader, you're going in as a teacher, and right on day one, you want a high level of integrity set out to everybody, it's not going to happen. You're basing it off of your job title. Mm-hmm. All right. So people know the title of principal, they know the title of teacher, they know the title of director, they know the title of supervisor, right? So they're going off of that. They're not going off of integrity. They may go off of a little bit of what other people have said, but they have to experience it first. So once they've experienced it, whatever that is, keeping your promises, speaking out for what you believe in, being fair, and doing what you say you're going to do, then your level of integrity goes higher. That's how you develop that positive relationship where they're trusting you. Because if you do keep your promises, you're always speaking out for what you believe in, you are fair, and you do what you say you're going to do, does that give you a high level of trust? Yes, absolutely. It does. Absolutely. So therefore, let's go back to the other statement we were talking about as it relates to influence. Is true influence involves building trust and relationship. For those who are looking at it online, I even highlighted it in there on purpose. This all connects together. Now, I want to switch things up because you and I, we're speakers. And you just talked about when you go in and you're going to teach people how to do this curriculum and how to have this lessons and everything like that, how to do it. Many times we have what? An hour.
Yes.
To talk.
Maybe.
Many times we have 40 minutes if they cut it back because somebody else was speaking before us. Every now and then you got a workshop situation where you might have 3, or you got a full day PD. Okay. One of the things that I teach within our ranks, but what I say is you need to, when you get in there, you need to develop relationship with them as quickly as possible. You need to interact with them, give them your credentials. All right. You got to give the little credential piece to it. Okay. They know what they're talking about, but then you have to seem relatable. You have to seem nice. You have to seem like, oh, I can listen to this chick. I can listen to this guy. Anyone who's seen my keynote, my first 10 minutes, 10 to 15, it's a comedy routine. It's a straight up comedy routine. I want them to laugh. I want them to like me. I want them to know me. I give them a story about my back. I want them to feel for me. So when I get to my content, I've developed a very quick relationship with them so that it increases my level of influence.
So we do it a different way.
There you go.
we don't start with comedy because I'm really not that funny, but it's kind of one of those things that just comes off the fly. But we
Yeah.
think, I say we, Kara and I, when we present, we try to get them in that they're feeling connected by multiple pathways. Right? We all are learning at different ways. We learn with music, we learn with movement, we learn with arts. Like what do you need to connect with this, right? Kara and I are very yin and yang. I'm very extroverted. Carrie's very introverted. We connect with them at different levels with those ways. And by the end of that 15-minute engagement piece, they trust that we have them. They trust that we're there for them, we're in your back pocket if you need us. And so I think, that building that integrity, building that relationship, I think there's just so many different ways that you can try to connect with someone. I love trying to read someone's body language, their facial expressions. It's kind of my favorite. How are they reacting to this? So I think that's a big piece too.
Yes, definitely. And that's what it is. All of this revolves around, number one, you're strategic, you're going in. The purpose is to increase your influence so that you can give them the content so that they can be all in so that they will act once you leave. That is influence. So you're being purposeful about it. You're going through the things of what it is. You're promising them that you're going to do. You're going to give them content. You're going to give them what they need to have. You're speaking what you believe in. That's the whole part of your content, right? You're being fair because you're understanding where they're coming from and where you're coming from, and you're doing exactly what you said you're going to do. You have just increased your integrity on a short scale. You've also increased your level of influence.
So let's switch this up a little bit and let's talk about those people that aren't as easy to influence. Right? So we'll start in the classroom. One of my sons, it has dyslexia. So he has a very difficult time with the reading skills. His teacher this year is phenomenal. He had, in the last 2 months, he has come home. He wants to read books. He's sounding things out. He wants to buy books. He's reading. Mom, read with me. And I give that straight to the influence that his teacher has had on him to love reading, to joke with him, to just meet him at his level. But he was reluctant at first. So, his teacher had to work very hard to get that trust, to find his pathway. So what do you do in the leadership role when you have some teachers or things that aren't really sure yet? They're more reluctant. Is there something more that you can do than just try to build that relationship? Is there something stronger?
Communicate, over communicate, period. Over communicate. Whenever I do training for newer administrators, right? I always tell newer administrators, when you go into a new administrative role, you have to over communicate. Like communicate more than you've ever, because you have no integrity right now. And you have teachers that are the fold the arms. I've been here for so long. I've been through this before. I know. And I already know what administrators are like. Because you, as a new administrator or a new leader going in, you are bearing all of the weight of every previous administrator that was there, whether it's fair or not, whether you have a reputation or not. You do. That's what you have. So the first thing that you need to do, and everybody says, oh, you need go out there, connect with people, shake hands, kiss babies. Some people don't want you in their space. All right. We know teachers are super busy. They see administrator come, oh, here we go. What you can do is communicate, over communicate. When you're coming up with a decision, hey, the reason why I came up with this decision is this, that, and the other. Even if they disagree with it, now they know that you're communicating. One of the number one things, and I'm sure you as a teacher, you hear this all the time, we don't know what's going on. Nobody's ever talking to us. Nobody tells us. They just up there making their decisions. Nobody even asked them. See, I can get all into my 5 levels of decision making real quick. I do have steps on that. But the simplest answer is communicate, communicate, communicate. And when you're a new administrator, you should have at least a solid 6 to 7 months of over communicating. At that point, then they know what kind of leader that you are, at least up front, because they can see the communication. Now you can start building that level of integrity. Your level of influence will increase. Because then you're going to have other people say, well, he did say that, or she did say that, or she is communicating. Well, that's different. It's not a fluke. 1 month of the fluke, 2 months of the fluke, 7 months, it's not.
It's a behavior. You can also send it in an email. Not everything has to be communicated in a staff meeting.
Oh, I know that. Oh, yes. Oh,
so
please
let's make
understand.
sure, us teachers, we really love when you just send a quick email. That's great.
And when I say over communicate, that's what I mean. I don't mean pull everybody in and waste their time sitting in a faculty meeting so that you can go on a soapbox. No, just in your emails, right? Do your Friday focus email. Put the details in there, right? Or your Monday morning email, your Sunday whatever email. Individual teachers, when you go visit their classrooms, don't just say, "Oh, I was just walking through. It wasn't a walkthrough." Those teachers are like, "What in the world happened?" Communicate. Post-it notes, little notes, emails, communicate. That's what it is. That's what needs to happen.
And we are just like children. We like to hear that we're doing a good job. Yes. We like to hear like, "Hey, you know what, Mrs. Dede, I saw that you had," and like, "Really? You saw that? That's great. I'm glad that I had that influence on you, that you stopped to notice."
There you go.
In turn, I feel a little bit more positive, a little bit more energetic, and that in turn influences on to my students in the classroom, which then brings me home as a mother, and I am a little bit more happy and influence my family. It's just like a giant pathway.
I get it. That's exactly it. Boom. That was a good one. I hope people understand the connection between influence and integrity and how they're interconnected as a leader, whether you are an official leader or you're not an official leader. Even if you're in a household, your level of influence is there over your kids, over your spouse, over whatever you got. You got to understand how those two pieces connect together so well.
All right. Thank you, Steve. This was really good. What type of influencing do you have coming up? Anything you want to?
Oh, we got it. We got Within Our Ranks Summit. I am so, look at, if anybody's watching this video, we were both like grinning, like really grinning. We are so excited about this, right? So Within Our Ranks is training for educators who want to speak professionally, period. And you know what? I've been thinking about, I almost felt like putting training for seasoned educators who want to speak professionally, because you have to have taught for at least 10 years in order to be a part of this, right? There's other programs that are out there. They'll take anybody. I want 10 years plus in education, public, charter, or charter isn't public, but private. You have to be in K through 12, 10 years. And it's going to be this coming January 2024, January 19th, 20th, and 21st in Atlanta, Georgia. It is training for educators. You have an idea, you have a concept, you have an understanding. You are not afraid of getting in front of other people to share your expertise, but you just don't know how to do it. This is the training that will allow you to do this. And you've been through the training when I had it differently. I had the longer cohort, but now we're condensing it into a weekend. You went through it.
And let me tell you, it is life-changing. Karen and I thought we knew what we were doing. We had no idea. Every month that we met with Steve, we got off and we're like mind blowing. And so now that I've gone through the whole Within Our Ranks, and if you are wanting to do this and you come in January, you get both of us in the same room. I mean,
yeah, forget the training. You get Meg and Steve in the same room. That's what you get.
Yeah. And honestly, if you are if you're even close to thinking that maybe you want to do speaking, this is the pathway that you need to take.
So go to withinourranks.com, and I specifically titled it Within Our Ranks because it's just for educators with the K-12 educators within our own ranks. Withinourranks.com. Click on the tab that says, or the button actually that says Connect with Steve. Pick a time, and we'll set up a time to talk. And you'll probably either talk to Meg first, and then eventually you'll speak to me, or we're figuring out the specifics of all that. But we're going to have you guys get this all set up. And we really want to make sure that you guys get an opportunity to do this. If you've ever been thinking about it in any way, this is what you need to do. So I'm excited about that.
Absolutely. Sounds great, Steve. Well, thank you for tonight. I appreciate it. It was good stuff.
Welcome.
Love the
Yes,
conversation.
definitely good stuff. So I'm looking forward to our next one, and we'll announce the next series on the next podcast for December. And just, I take off December. Like, I don't travel in December. I still work on the business, but I don't do any of my travel. I stay home for December. But come January, I'm taking off. I'm going to be in Idaho, I think it is, on the 2nd. Idaho. Okay. And then I'll be in San Antonio. No, not San Antonio. Next podcast, I'll tell you where I'm going to be next in January. All right.
Good. Sounds good.
All right. Hey, thanks so much, Meg. I appreciate it. Tell Kara hi. And thank you, everybody. Have a great one. And we'll see you in the next Stand Tall Leadership Show.
Go be influential.
There you go. That's right.